4 minutes late, Mikel. We're keeping a dossier.
Sorry?
4 minutes late. We're keeping a dossier.
My fault.
My fault.
I will get something for you guys next time. I paid the fine.
Mikel, good afternoon.
Hello.
Firstly, how's training been this week? Obviously the sun's shining, but also the fact that you've had a week to prepare for the game tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been really good. The boys been training fantastically well. Obviously, the weather conditions helped a lot. And we had a busy week with some players as well leaving the club. A lot of work to do, and we wish them all the best.
A couple of players didn't feature in the match you scored last week, so can you just let us know their fitness levels with the likes of Takehiro Tobiasu,
They've been reintegrating to training this week, all of them. They are in different phases, but some of them will be in the squad tomorrow.
Kieran Tierney, we saw him come off the bench last week. Is he nearing full fitness levels? Will he be able to start training the match soon?
Well, he played 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes last weekend, and he did really well. He's been out for a long time after the knee injury, but he looks in perfect condition now and ready to go.
And I understand that Reece Nelson has suffered from injury. Can you just let us know a little bit more about that?
Things that happened, he felt something in training, we scanned it, and the doctor came with some bad news. It's a muscular injury, and hopefully he will be back soon.
Do you know how long roughly he might be out?
Not yet, they need to do another test, and hopefully next week we'll have more information.
And of course, we're taking Leicester tomorrow. Brendan Rodgers yesterday said that he feels Arsenal have gone to the next level with some of the signings that you made. They've had a relatively quiet transfer window. How do you compare this Leicester side to the one that you beat back in March?
I think it's difficult to compare. We just played one competitive match. They have some good games. When I was the game against Seville, and they've been together for a long time. It's a really strong squad, a manager and coaching staff that they've been doing a fantastic job. As we all know, huge experience in the league, and it's always really difficult against them. Thank you.
Mikel, the game's 3 o'clock kickoff. I think it's going to hit 34, 35 degrees at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. How much of a worry is that?
It's the conditions and the context of the game. We have to adapt to it. We know that we're going to have the water break and get the players in the best possible condition to adapt to it, and that's it. Play the game that we want to play.
You wouldn't change the approach to a game because of that?
We have to obviously adapt, and players would have to be ready mentally as well to play in those conditions, because it's not something that we do. Normally we have the 5 subs as well, which is very, very helpful. So it's a combination of facts.
Yeah, how important is that going to be, do you think, the 5 subs?
I think it will be really important. I think it's really helpful. I think it gives the squad, players individually, many more chances and hope to participate in football matches. And I think now it's educating players as well that not playing 90 minutes is not an issue, especially when you have so many games in the season.
Documentary update last night clearly showed how concerned you were about the culture of the club around this time a year ago. Are you now content with the culture of the club, with the changes that have been made?
I am really happy with where we are and the people we have at the club, the professional we have at the club, and what we are building. So I could not be happier with that.
Any regrets at all about the moment and the handling of the stripping of Aubameyang captaincy?
Listen, it's a long time since that happened. I cannot go back every time there is another series. I have made my comments on that. I was really clear and honest with my opinion, and what is being done is always been done to defend our club and put the club in the best possible position, and being always as clear, as honest, and as consistent as we can.
Referred to in the episode last night, which I'm sure you have time to see, the dossier, the file that you kept about his misdemeanours and his timekeeping. I referred to it jokingly at the start there, but have you had any requests from Chelsea to have a look at that file?
Oba is an exceptional player. He did so much for us. He was our captain, and I think we have to be grateful, very grateful as well, for what he did for this club.
So if he does come back to the Premier League and comes back to the Emirates, you feel he'll get a good reception?
I hope he does, because I think he deserves that. There are moments in life, there are moments in your career, and sometimes the trajectories or the objective of each individual is different to the clubs, and you have to respect that.
I won't ask you numerous questions about potential incomings that we read about. You've done good good business so far this window. But in terms of outgoings, you mentioned there that you had Mari leave the club this week. Any more going out before the window closes?
Well, we have Bernd as well. We had Lucas Torreira, so there were a few. Obviously, we had Flo Malagan going on loan as well. We had moved the squad a lot, and we are still willing to finalize the squad the way we want. We can add in something great, but as well there are a few players as well that we have to find the right game time for them, because at the moment I think it's going to be difficult.
Kieran Tierney to City is not one that you've heard about.
No, and you know that I'm not going to be commenting on individual cases.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George?
Mikel, hello. I just wonder, have you had to change anything this week in terms of, because it's been so hot with the heat wave, about training, or have you just carried on as normal?
But in this country, we never get it right. When it's rainy and cloudy, it's always raining and cloudy. When it's hot, it's too hot. So we have to say, listen, 23 degrees, a little bit of shadows and a nice breeze, and then we are all happy. So we just trained. We have to adapt to the conditions. We knew that on Saturday it's going to be boiling hot, and we had to train that conditions to get up to speed.
You mentioned the culture of the club and how happy you are with it now. How different was it to when you took over, and why was it so different? Why was it so low, possibly?
It was the club's main objective at the beginning to try to completely change that and create, installed, and make people that are participating on a daily basis with the club proud, happy, and accountable for their jobs. And I think we have that, and I think you can see that level of commitment and passion transmitted to our supporters, and that's why at the moment there is such a unity at the club.
Is every player buying into that culture, that they know the non-negotiables? And when you sign new players, do you explain the non-negotiables to them and what they need to do to be at Arsenal?
It's the first thing that we talked about, is what we're going to expect from them, what they're going to expect from the club, what our values are, how we like to be behaved and perceived, and that we're here to have enjoyment. It's our passion, it's what we love doing, and in order to do that we have to get on well. It's a lot of people, clubs are bigger and bigger every day, and you have to have, first of all, that respect in order to have enjoyment together.
A lot of Arsenal fans are enjoying your team talks in the Amazon documentary. I just wondered who was the sort of biggest influence on you as your team talks was when you was playing, or who you picked some of that stuff up from along the way?
I think those moments are very personal and happen really in the moment. How you are feeling, how you sense the atmosphere around the dressing room, what the players need in the moment, what the occasion is, and it has to come out from yourself naturally. Obviously, you have always people that inspire you in your life, that have educated you, and that helps.
Last one from me, nice easy one. 30-year anniversary of the Premier League on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondered your favourite Premier League memory.
Oh, that's a big question. I think as a club, that invincible season was something that has been right in the history of this country and this league, and it will stay there forever. And hopefully, nobody except of us, maybe one day we can touch it.
I'll go. William Saliba, obviously, you praised him and he was right. He praised for his performance at Palace, but when you've got pundits saying he's the new Rio Ferdinand, he's as good as Virgil van Dijk, do you have a job now to make sure you keep his feet on the ground?
I think he has his feet on the ground. I think that's not going to be an issue. Obviously, we have talked about the expectation that he already created before joining the club. When he was on loan, he's very aware of everything that was happening around him, and we have tried to manage that internally in a really quiet way, and I think it's better to stay like this for him because he's 21 years of age and he's played one Premier League match.
A lot's been made about the culture, which we talked about then. Do you think the other players in the dressing room will also help make sure that he doesn't get carried away, basically?
Yeah, but the players really like him because he's come like a really determined and focused and humble boy that wants to really take this club forward. He's so willing to be talk through anything that you want to talk about it, coached, and his aim is to get better and get the team better, and that's it.
Just another one. Emil's fit now. He only started one of the last 5 Premier League games at the end of last season. What does he have to do to get that regular place back in your team?
He needs to stay fit. He needs to stay fit, train well, and perform at the level that he is able to perform. Because when he does that, it's really difficult not to pick him up.
James?
Just picking up on what Mark was asking there about Saliba, I think one thing that the pundits mentioned a lot was the confidence, the composure that he showed on the pitch. When he came back from Marseille, did you get any sense that he changed in that regard and developed from his time away in France?
When we got him back in pre-season,
Yeah.
the first impression was really positive. It's just as you said, his body language, his presence, and the confidence that he was acting with. He was very mature.
And I believe his agent came to call me over the summer for talks. 2 years left on his contract. He must be one you're keen to tie down quite soon.
We will address all these issues like we always do. That's why the board and Edu will be preparing all the scenarios that we can possibly face, and we want players to be happy here and feel valued. But we just started the season.
Hi Mikel, I think across the pitch you have quite a few areas where you have a slightly different profile player for the same position, so like Tierney and Zinchenko left. I was just wondering, as a manager, how useful is that for you to have slightly different options when you're facing an opponent?
It gives us different threats and creates different problems as well for the opponents, because doing the same thing with very different qualities creates different scenarios, different problems to the opposition, and as well it gives us a big flexibility as well with the same players to play in different ways.
And in the documentary, I noticed before the Norwich game last year, you said the players just give them a little bit less instructions. Is that something you think you've started to do a bit less in terms of just trying to control everything and maybe giving them a bit more free reign?
That's the idea and the dream that they can decide by themselves, that they can make decisions by themselves, and those decisions are right in execution, in timing, and in purpose, and that's the direction that obviously we want to take.
Just on Fabio Vieira, what position do you see him playing? Because he's so versatile, he can play in various positions. We didn't see him much in pre-season.
And I think that's something that the player is going to tell us. We will try him. We already are trying him in training different positions, but he's played off the left, off the right. He's played as a false nine, attacking midfielder. So it's good, and he doesn't want to be locked in one position as well, because he's so used to it, and that's a really positive thing for us.
You said it might take him a little bit of time to adapt to the Premier League because of physicality and stuff. How long do you reckon it'll be before we see the very best of him?
I don't know. That's a question mark that it's very difficult to respond right now. But it might take him no time, and he starts to get there, depending on who he's playing with, how the game goes, how quickly he's going to adapt. What I can tell you that he's doing everything he can to that process make it really, really short.